right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Shane
Good
Driscoll.
morning.
Yeah, so I've known Shane for a while now. We used to work together out in Sabic a long time ago. Anyways, so we wanted to bring Shane on to describe his kind of take on the Henderson flood. Obviously, he's been affected by it. His house was featured on the news getting tore down, and we wanted to bring him on to kind of share what it's like going through that motions of a disaster. Obviously, for good community helps with disasters, but having a someone that's been through it personally is always kind of a fun, not fun, but just kind of adds a lot of detail because a lot of people don't know truly what goes on in a flood. But before you introduce yourself, it is time for the arm wrestle. And I'm
All
not
right.
gonna lie, Shane has beat me before, so this is I don't really have a lot of hope.
I'll give you a little bit of a break on this one.
All right. So this is called oh geez. Oh man, I can already tell this is gonna be.
It's gonna be fun.
Move that up a little bit. Oh no. Hold
Okay,
on.
so ready?
Hold on. I need to. Oh geez, I can already tell this is.
All
You know, like when you know
right,
you're
crunch
about
enough.
to.
1, 2, 3, go.
All right, do it again.
Oh,
Do it
come
again. I'm ready now.
on. All right, you ready now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh, you're trying already. Ah, you trying?
Yes, I'm trying.
Okay.
That wasn't fair.
So you gotta take it easy. That was easy.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. As soon as I grabbed your arm, I was like, oh geez. Is that yeah? It's just like when you're about to grab someone's arm, you just
Yeah, you know when you're toast already.
yeah.
You were cooked from the go.
So I'm 1-1 in arm wrestling, and then thumb war. Jonathan didn't want a thumb war. He didn't want to arm wrestle into the thumb war, but he beat me in that. But it's okay.
Yeah,
I'll take 1-1.
yeah. That's still you're batting 500.
Yeah, I'll take it. So tell me about you, Shane, or tell who's ever watching who
Yeah.
you are.
Like you said, I'm Shane. I've been living in Henderson my entire life, except for the little stint I was away for college. I'm the assistant fire chief of Reed Fire Department, which was the area that was affected most heavily in Henderson County with the flood back in April. So,
So you've been busy not only with your own home, but with
dealing with a lot of the stuff with the other people as well.
geez. Now what have you always so before we get to the flood, so I know I've known you've been with the volunteer fire department for a long time. What has that always been like a thing you've wanted to do, or like because that's a big commitment.
I actually started in high school. I started off as a junior. I celebrated my 16th birthday by getting voted on to the fire department. It all started actually from an accident that I was in. A school bus I was riding going to school one morning actually had somebody fall asleep behind us and hit the school bus at full speed. And watching the volunteer firefighters come in, take care of us, get us out of there, and realizing that the local preacher, who was also a family member, who was the chief at the time, came in the bus and was. I've always seen him in a different light and seen him come in, put on a different hat, and how professional and thorough he was with that side of things versus what I'm normally seeing him in. Made me think, well, that's pretty cool. I want to be part of that, and that's just kind of how I got my start. And I started at 16 since 2009,
Jeez, so
and
you've been oh, almost 10 years.
uh,
No, sorry, not
yeah,
10 years.
it's like 16 almost.
Six.
Yeah, it's been quite a few.
Jeez, that's
And
a
I
long
started
time.
everywhere from junior firefighter, not making, being able to do a lot of the big stuff, to firefighter, doing the EMT medical officer part. Now I'm all the way up to assistant chief
Now, how long have you been the assistant chief for?
for 2 years now.
2 years.
And I'm also on another department where I'm the captain. And I've been with that department same amount of time, about the same time. And I've been captain for them for 4 or 5 years now.
Jeez, so you're
I'm
on two separate fire departments as well as
Well, I hold officer positions on two departments. I'm
oh,
on a total of four. Just because there's not that many volunteers in Henderson County anymore for the fire department, so we kind of help each other out. All the departments do. So,
jeez.
so I'm on four different departments countywide.
So there's not a lot of sleep going on at all.
No, no, not yesterday especially. So yeah, it's been busy here, and there's, like I said, there's not a whole lot of volunteers in the county anymore.
Jeez. So, So with that knowledge and then going into this flooding that happened in Henderson County back in
April.
April. So kind of share you can probably share many hats with not only from your personal experience, share what happened to your family and your home, but also you also were helping other people through the fire department. So,
Yeah, with being on the fire department and dealing with the past floods before, I kind of knew the key indicators to look for with the NOAA website on the flood stages and excuse me, the different waves and flows of the river, where the other locks are going to be letting loose at, their time frame, and how it affects the river. I knew what was coming, and I was telling everybody around me, putting it on Facebook in the little groups that, hey, water's coming up. It's going to come up fairly quickly towards the back end of it before the crest, and it's going to hang around for a while. So I was letting people know ahead of time, hey, you want to go ahead and start making adjustments. You want to go ahead and start packing out the essentials that you need. You need to make arrangements for where you're going to stay, your animals, stuff like that. You need to go ahead and start moving on it.
yeah.
And there's some people out there that are new to the area that have never been through this. So I'm like, here's what's going to happen, and once it happens, it's too late. So you need to be proactive on this. You don't need to wait till the last minute to start making your moves. And sadly, a lot of people didn't move their stuff or waited till too late, and they lost a lot.
Yeah. Now, why? So that's something interesting before we get too deeper. So, like, obviously, people live in flood areas. That's why there's flood insurance, obviously. But like from an outsider, I don't live in a floodplain. I live in Evansville up on a hill. But why would someone choose to live in a floodplain? I guess that'd be a question.
Well, it's out in the county, so the big thing for a lot of people is you only got to pay one set of taxes. You only got to pay county property tax. You don't have to pay county and city. And a lot of them people out there, it's this family. It's property that's been in their family for generations. It's cheaper in the long run because property value, because of it being a flood zone, you can buy property a lot cheaper. Like ourselves, we bought 8 acres that already had a house on it, had a big pole barn that had utilities and stuff ran to it
Mhm.
for 57,000.
Jeez, that's a good deal.
You're not going to find that type of deal anywhere.
Mm-mm.
So it's financially sound. Okay, yeah, I can buy this cheap now, and then I can worry about the flooding later. It's always an afterthought. Nobody puts that in their forefront of making
Yeah,
a decision on that. And then it happens, and they're like, "Oh crap, what am I going to do now?"
yeah. That's why it
So,
was so cheap.
planning comes into a lot of it. If you're going to buy in a flood zone because it's cheaper,
Hmm.
out of pocket, right at the front, always plan ahead that it's not a what if, it's a when, especially in Reed. It's not a what if it's going to flood. It's when it's going to flood.
And when it's gonna flood, and I know you touched earlier. I don't think we were rolling on cameras, but like there is like a secular or cycular. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, there's a cycle to it. Like it floods every year. It's just like in our on our property, there every spring after all the snow melt comes from Pennsylvania and Ohio and all that, we'll get water on our property, but it's never to the point that it's in our house. It gets close, it gets in our property and our yard and everything, but it's never in the house. But if you go back and look at all the flood stages to where there was a disaster level flood every 7 years,
Mm.
because we had it in 2015, 2018, 2011, every
So you
seven
can kind
years.
of track
Yeah.
through. So if someone were gonna buy a house out there,
Yeah.
you would probably let them. We can let them know now. Kind of like there's things you want to. It is cheaper, and obviously a lot of the because I know we help out in floods. I know when Hazard, Kentucky flooded. There's the same situation. A lot of families have been there for a long time, especially the economics out in Eastern Kentucky
Yeah.
are drastically, it's a lot more impoverished. So, if you have a home that's been handed down,
Yeah.
it's more economical just to stay and
Yeah.
deal with the aftermath later.
Yeah. And there's resources you can go out there, like the NOAA website. You can just go the water stages through the NOAA website and you can pinpoint it to your exact address. And it shows you where the flood stages were, the water levels, and it shows what your elevation is compared to those flood stages.
Mm,
So you can plan ahead on, okay, well, this house gets flooded every year. May want to think about making some changes, either raising it because there's programs out there that will help you raise your house or just take the loss, sell the property, and go someplace that's going to be safer in the long run.
yeah. Now with your guys' home, obviously you guys have had, water got into your home. So like was it a gradual rise into your home or did it I know because I know this wasn't necessarily I don't know, it wasn't a flash flooding, was it? Or was
No,
it
it wasn't flash, but it rose fairly quick towards the end of the crest because there was a lock upriver that instead of doing a gradual release, they opened all five of their gates at the same time and just hammered the river. So the last few days before the crest, it shot up quick. I
mm,
know our last day in, we were starting to get some of the essentials out, like clothes and like personal property, like our birth certificates and all that stuff. And the water was on our property, but not in the house yet. After 8 hours of moving some stuff out, it went from being in the yard all the way covering our driveway into the bottom of the step. It rose probably a good 2 feet in an 8 hour period.
jeez.
So,
And how tall, like, how high did the water get inside your house?
so in the living space, we had 24 inches of water inside the living space, and it sat there from the time it crested to the time it started going down and out of the house for about 10 days.
So you had 2 feet of water from your floor
Hmm.
2 feet up. It sat
In the house for about 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah. And our house was already lifted probably another 3 feet. So from the outside of the house, the water line is probably right around 5.5 feet.
Yeah, because 'cause I'm 6 foot, so, I mean, I just had my head out
Yeah.
and about in the water.
Yeah. I didn't get in there at the crest, but I was able to get back there with my waders, and my waders come up to just underneath my chin, just about. And I had about maybe an inch before it was actually coming in my waders when I walked back.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and we were able to get a boat back there a couple times just to check things out, and we actually had an old car that I was working on, and it was completely submerged,
Wow.
and it sat for a while.
And so with that, that's something, so obviously structurally your house was still, and that's something I kind of want to talk about too, because there's obviously flash flooding, like your houses usually they get swept out.
Yeah,
But with your guys's, like 10 days at 2 feet of water, that's gonna like cause.
yeah, there was a lot of underlying issues that people don't see from the outside. So once the water went down, you drove by there, the house looked like it was fine. It just had the water line where the water set and
Mhm.
mud and limbs and stuff, but and the porches were swept away. But from the outside, it looked like it was fine.
Yeah,
But
move in ready, get back in there.
you go inside though, the walls are saturated, the floor is saturated, the beams underneath the house we bought, it was built in 70. Those beams underneath had never been replaced, so it's been through dozens of floods, and so that was all dry rotted, and it holds the moisture in there.
Mhm.
So the longer it sets in there, holds the moisture. It
Yeah,
was starting to
sucks it
get
up like a
warm.
sponge.
Yeah, you had mold, stuff was just falling apart, and our foundation actually started to shift a little bit because the water set in there and the wood and stuff starting to deteriorate. Our foundation started to crumble underneath it. So ultimately, our goal was to just demolish it and go with something new and out of the floodplain.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point because we help a lot of people with, throughout the country with flooding. And I think that is too. If your house isn't destroyed, like, like I said, we went to North Carolina recently and delivered furniture to people that were flooding. And it's not all the time your house gets swept away. It's the mold, the mildew, it's all the underlying problems that people forget about. Like, hey, like you can't live like the wood is in your drywall, it all soaks up water, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like people forget like it's a hard, yeah, what do you do? And it's just
Yeah,
like you guys just had to completely demolish the whole thing.
yeah, and there's a lot of people, especially in the eastern part of the state, that can't afford flood insurance or insurance in general. If they own the
Hmm.
home outright, they're not going to pay that extra for insurance
Yeah.
because it's not mandated if
Yeah.
you don't have a mortgage on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of places, if you own your home, you don't have to have insurance. It's highly recommended, but
Really? I
yeah,
did not
a
know
lot of
that.
people don't pay for it if they don't have to.
Yeah, especially if they're on older with fixed income, or
Hmm.
especially the economy is just, everything's higher and prices are higher. So if you can, you
If you
know,
can circumvent some costs, people are going to do it.
yeah.
And we got lucky enough we had insurance, but that's a whole different debacle right there. Insurance will split hairs on you all day long
Hmm.
because we battled them and we're like, well, we've got some damage on the ceiling fans from the water setting in there, moisture, they're drooping. We got cabinets up top that were starting to warp and stuff. And insurance said if and water doesn't physically touch it, we don't cover it.
Interesting.
So our contractor gave us an estimate for 160,000 roundabout approximate to make the house livable again. That's just builder grade, no new additions, nothing being
Just
upgraded, just
livable.
just to make it livable was 160,000. Insurance barely broke 95,000, and that's not including the personal property we tried to claim. And we put in right around 50 to 60,000 in personal property claim, and they only paid 9.
Jeez. So yeah,
So
it's a lot of
insurance is a headache, but
yeah,
it's a necessary evil, because if we didn't have that, then we would have nothing. That we've
yeah,
been up a creek,
yeah,
literally up a creek.
yeah. floating floating in the flood water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I was actually at your guys' house when they tore it down, and was that kind of because obviously you have family, you have two kids, your wife was there. Like, was that a obviously it was a rejoicing moment, like finally this thing's going, but I bet it was a little
It,
bittersweet.
it was bittersweet because we brought our daughter home. Our daughter spent 10 days in NICU when she was born, and that was her first home she's ever came back to.
Hmm.
A lot of her first time, her first word, first teeth, first time walking, a lot of her firsts were done in that house. And now it's
Those
in,
memories
yeah, it's
are
in a landfill somewhere now. It's
yeah.
gone.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that we were out in California with the fire, and this can be resolved for any obviously you, but like people, I think a lot of people forget about like it's so we I talked to a couple that lived in the Palisades. Obviously, there's a kind of same thing. A lot of those houses were handed down. It's kind of hard to rebuild. A multi-million dollar house, but it wasn't so much the house; it was the memories. Like
Yeah.
when something is washed away, like those communities, the bus stops, the libraries, that was something that I think people really forget with disaster zones is yes, you lost your house, but it's the memories there. And
Hmm.
like, and especially Reed, you guys are a really tight community.
Yeah.
You're on the your assistant fire chief, you guys all know each other. Like, I don't think you guys don't know who your neighbors are. You guys are
Yeah.
very community, so just anything that gets washed away, it's like that's generations
Mhm.
like of people that's been there. So
Yeah. There's been houses that are actively being redone that they're completely different now than what I remember them 20 years ago. There's houses that aren't there anymore from 20 years ago. And now you drive down the road toward where our house is, and I'm used to looking for the green shutter and the red porch, and that's all gone.
yeah. And so with this new house, obviously you guys got a new house to put there because
Hmm.
you know you got this property, like you've kind of weighed the risk versus reward. And so obviously this new house is there. How high is this?
So from ground level to the threshold, bottom of the door, is 10 feet 6 inches.
You could
So
put a basketball goal on that.
put it underneath it. Yeah, I call it my redneck sky trailer or
Or
sky castle.
Sky Castle, or there's a movie that say high rise double wide.
Hmm. Yeah, it is up there. My brother-in-law made a joke the other day driving by. My nephew looked up and said, "How are they gonna get up there?" And without missing a beat, he said, "A trampoline."
Uh, Now I will say getting furniture in there is going to be a beast.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still looking for anybody that wants to come out get some pizza or something. I'll grill or something. If anybody wants to come help move in here in a week or two, I'll cook. That's about all I got to offer right now. But I'll cook you something to eat while you.
Now you do have furniture from us,
I
and
do.
I am hoping you. Yeah, I'm hoping that I don't have to carry those
Oh,
upstairs.
I'll be giving you a call. Better believe it.
We my last podcast, if you guys watched Christina and Giante, so Christina she had a it'd probably be the same height of her second story, and like yeah, I'm picturing that again, like
It may be a little bit easier. A lot of the stuff that we have to move in is still in boxes. We haven't unboxed it or put anything together, so it's still in boxes. That'll be easy. But some of the bigger furniture, like the couch you guys got us, that's going to be a. I can see a Friends episode, somebody hollering "pivot" while we're trying to go in that house.
now are your stairs going up to it like how so it's high 10, so what are like you probably have some bins
They
or
haven't built them yet. They were supposed to build the decks last week. Hopefully, they get to them sometime today or this week. I asked for there to be a platform halfway up. Whether or not they follow through with that
yeah,
plan,
please tell
it would
them
be nice.
a platform, and and don't go cheap on the narrow stairs, all right, give us some room.
I'm balling on a budget.
Yeah, because ugh, yeah, I don't like narrow stairs.
I'm not a big fan of it either,
Yeah.
especially trying to.
Or if you know anyone with a winch, we can just
I'm thinking about putting a dumbwaiter on there for groceries.
what's a what?
A dumbwaiter.
I don't know what that is.
Oh wow, it's like a pulley system that they used to have in like older Victorian style houses and hotels and stuff, and it's you
Oh,
just put like your tray of food on there,
and you close the door and
and
it
it goes,
lifts to the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
yeah. Thinking about putting one of those on there for groceries,
Yeah,
or even myself. I'll sit in the basket and winch myself up.
that would be impressive. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, your arms are big enough to
Yeah, I probably could.
yeah. Well, no, so is there any more you want to share kind of on your just what you've been through? Now, I guess the question for me is where have you stayed since all this?
So the initial part of the flood, my fire department was lucky enough or gracious enough to let us bring my parents' camper to the property. That way I can still be close to the fire department and everything. And we stayed there in a camper for a week or so. And then United Way of Henderson actually funded us an Airbnb
Okay.
for, we've been there close to 6 months. We just moved out of it yesterday.
Wow.
So between Catholic Charities and United Way and 911 Gives Hope, they've actually afforded us to actually be in a house with a full kitchen, bathrooms, kids with their own individual spaces
Which
for
is
less.
good for your two kids and
Yeah,
just
there's
trying to
some
have
sort of normalcy for them because
yeah.
a small camper with a 2-year-old and a 10-year-old is not ideal for anybody for an extended period of time, let
No.
alone a week or two.
No, sanity goes.
Oh, it's gone. We were there last night and it's already out the window. So,
And you mentioned 911 gives hope, and for those who don't know, this is actually Big Sexy is what you go by, and you
yep,
actually box for the fire department in the Guns and Hoses in
yep,
Evansville.
for the last 4 years,
Yeah. Now, what is your record?
undefeated 4-0.
4-0.
Haven't been beat yet.
I would say I would
Knock on
box
wood.
you, but I just lost in arm wrestling. You would
You're
destroy
gonna say
me.
I've got some gloves out in the car.
Yeah.
I always carry a set with me in case somebody wants to test their luck.
I tell my wife this is the money maker, and I can't have that jeopardized.
If that's your moneymaker, I'm afraid to look at your bank account.
It's nothing there. I got two kids. I don't have
I
any.
know the feeling.
I don't have any money. But no, well, I appreciate all the information, Shane. I know our listeners do too, because yeah, I think there's just it's hard, and especially have someone that not only went through that experience, but someone that helps others with that experience. Because it is, I mean, there's questions I have because we've been helping disasters for a while, and I always like, why would people live in a floodplain? Because especially like you can track the cycle, especially if
Mhm.
it's flooded once, the odds of it flooding again are like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty high.
Unless it's like an act of God and it's a freak flash flood that never happened because of drainage systems or something like that. A lot of these rural areas that are in floodplains, you can see the tract of it. It happens more often than not. And you
Yeah.
can see how often it comes, how high it gets. And it's pretty steady on about the same every year. Every now and then we'll get the oddball, like the 37 flood.
Hmm.
But for the most time, it's pretty much the same. Now,
Yeah.
how it comes in may change a little bit, but the impact is normally about the same.
Yeah. Which is good for, especially for the fire department. You guys can kind of,
Yeah, and
you can
especially
plan
being
ahead and know kind of what you're going to deal with.
yeah, and being volunteer and volunteer numbers being as low as they are, we need to have as much
Hmm.
pre-planning as possible because numbers are low.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to say or recap on as far as anyone listening that's considering living in a floodplain or maybe wants to volunteer with the fire department?
Yeah, just do your research on when you're going to buy a home, where you're going to look to live at. Make sure it's not in a floodplain if you don't want to have to deal with that, because flood insurance, some places, if it's a repetitive loss, private insurance will not cover you. So
Hmm.
you would have to do the FEMA-based insurance, which is called the National Flood Insurance Program. That's NFIP. That is a government subsidized one. They are somewhat expensive, but if that's the only one you can get, you have to go with it, and it's a requirement. Especially if you have
Hmm.
a mortgage, flood insurance is a requirement.
Okay.
And then make sure you read your pamphlet or handbook, because there is a lot of splitting hairs and red tape that you have to jump through when it comes time to file a claim.
Hmm.
And on the volunteer side of it, if you live out in the county, or even if you live in the city, there is a volunteer organization, the Henderson City County Rescue Squad. They are based in the city, but they respond countywide on everything, such as car wrecks, fires, stuff like that. There's always a volunteer opportunity out there for somebody. Just get on the Henderson County government webpage, and it has all the fire chiefs and assistant chiefs phone
Yeah.
numbers. Reach out. we're always looking for a good volunteer, somebody that wants to get in and help out without any type of monetary reimbursement because we don't get paid.
Yeah.
Everybody in the county is 100% bona fide volunteer.
Yeah. Which I think is incredible, and I think, yeah, I would tell people I gotta do better at looking at my cameras. But yeah, if you want to volunteer, obviously for good communities, a nonprofit, and volunteering, don't wait on someone else. If you feel the calling, jump in, take action, because it could be your house that's flooded, it could be your house on fire, and you would want someone to respond. So yeah, you can ask Shane here. Shane can get his number will be on that page. But yeah, please, if you feel the need to volunteer, I mean, like you said, it sounds like you guys are in need of some volunteers. And it's a great way to give back to your community.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not always writing a check, it's
Yep.
just getting your hands dirty and helping out where it's needed most. But Shane, thank you for coming on. And
Thank you
yeah,
for having me.
I know I've learned a lot. And yeah, be looking for him for 911 Gives Hope. The name is Big Sexy again. I don't even like saying it. Like,
Yeah, you do. You know you do.
I don't even like saying that name on here. But anyways, thank you, Shane. Thank you guys for watching. We are looking for anyone that wants to sponsor this. It'd be a great way to support a nonprofit. And plus, I can put your little business logo on here, wherever on the space here. Tim, our videographer, could figure that out. But anyways, thanks for watching, and make sure to look out for episode 4 coming next week. Thank you.